Hello, this is Jennifer Bailey, and in this lecture I'm going to introduce you to the WordPress Dashboard, just to get you moving a little bit quicker with WordPress. Because sometimes the dashboard can look a little bit intimidating because there's so many different parts of the menu and different settings and things like that. So this is basically a quick start guide to the dashboard. Right, when we first log into the WordPress dashboard or administration screen, this is the page that greets us. The first thing we see is this black toolbar at the top of the page, which helps us navigate between the dashboard area and the website we have created. So if I go to the name of the site, which is Private Tutor, and click Visit Site, it will take us to our website. So this bar, while we're logged in, remains visible to help us navigate backwards and forwards. This is our website in its simplest form. So what we have is a header section at the top here, which contains the site name and the tagline. We then have a menu, so this is a standard primary menu, and often it's located here below the header, though sometimes it can be seen above the header here. It is possible to create custom menus, but we will look at that in a later lecture. And here we have our first blog post, which was created automatically by the installation of the WordPress site. To give you an example, basically. And you can see it's been posted in an uncategorized category. So the category was also created when we created the website. And there's also one reply to the post. So if we click on that now, you can see basically what a comment looks like. So here's our post at the top here, and then somebody has put a comment underneath. So hi, this is a comment. So you can see what it looks like when someone comments on one of your blog posts. And you can actually turn these comments on and off, and you can moderate them so they don't all have to show. The next thing we have is down the right hand side of the page here is the sidebar. Now sidebars can appear on the right or the left or on both sides or not at all. And these things that you see written here are basically widgets that have been inserted into the sidebar. And I'll talk to you about widgets a little bit later. If we scroll down to the bottom of the page, we also have a footer, which is here. That can also be customized as well. Let's go back up to the top of the page. We've looked at the blog post. Now let's look at the sample page that's been created for us. So as you can see, here is a sample page, and it does look very similar to the post at first glance, but it does fill the whole page. So when you create a page, the page adjusts its size to fit the content of the page. And it says here it's different from a blog post because it stays in one place and will show up in your site navigation. So basically up in here, unless you can choose for it to be excluded, but that's something else we'll also look at later. And like it says here, most people will choose to create an about page first, which introduces them. So what we're going to do now is go back to the dashboard of our WordPress site. So you go back to the site title and click on Dashboard. Now on this main screen, there are several different boxes, which basically are kind of quick start boxes or bits of extra information about WordPress. So the first one here is, for example, it said we've assembled some links to get you started. So you can click to customize your site or to change the theme. It takes you to the place to write your first blog post, create a page, view your site, manage widgets and menus, turn comments on and off, or learn more about getting started. And that link takes you to the wordpress.org site. Now if you don't want that to show, that box, you just basically click on dismiss here and it will disappear. We also have the status of the site right now. So we know we have one post, one page and one category and one approved comment because we've just had a look at them. You can also see an option to do a quick press. So this is basically creating a blog post quickly without having to go into the menus on the left hand side. a summary of any drafts you've created, because sometimes you might start drafting a page or a post but never quite get it finished, so you can pop into that box there to look at them. You can look at recent comments, and you can toggle these boxes open and close just by clicking on this little arrow here. So we know that we've got a comment because we've seen it on when we've navigated our website just a few minutes ago. Incoming links, some suggested plugins, some WordPress news, all that sort of thing. So if you don't want these to show, you just click on Screen Options, and you can basically open or close these boxes. And if you want them showing again, like for example we've just closed the welcome screen, we can click on welcome and it comes back on. We can also choose how this screen displays by choosing the number of columns. So I've just changed it to 1 column, so you can have it like that, or 4 columns, whichever you prefer. We just close the screen options by clicking there. The next thing we're going to look at is this left menu bar, because we're going to be using a great deal when we're customizing our website. Now this is how it looks in its basic form, though you may notice that when you install different themes or different plugins that the menu may take on extra categories or extra sections, but this is it in its simplest form. So the first section is the dashboard, and we're in the home page at the moment. So coming back to this screen you can see in front of you, you go to home and it will bring you back here. Next you have updates. Now this is where you perform updates on your themes and your plugins and to upgrade to the latest version of WordPress. Now if you go and look on my lecture about installing updates, it will go through this in a lot more detail. But at the moment you can see that we have the latest version of WordPress and all our plugins and themes are up to date. Next we go to posts, and we're in the all posts section here, and at the moment we only have one post, which is the standard one that was created when we installed our website. And as you can see, as I hover my mouse underneath the title of the blog post, an extra menu appears. So that can help you control what you want to do with it. So you can do an edit, a quick edit, a trash, or you can view it. If you want to create a new post, you can either click Add New here or Add New here. And it also tells you how many are published, because for example some of them may be drafts, for example. Also in this menu we have categories and tags, and this is basically a way of categorizing or adding keywords to our different posts, which makes it easier for our visitors to find them. But we will explore them in more detail in another lecture. Next we have media. Now if you're going to put any media such as videos or pictures onto your website, they will all be stored in the media library. Even if you import them to your website within a post, this is where you'll find them, and also it will let you customize them, crop them, change the ratios of them in the media library. And if you want to add a new piece of media, you just click on Add New and it will let you upload it from your computer. Next we have pages, and in a similar way to the posts menu, it displays us any pages we've created, and yet again we can use the hover our mouse underneath to have a quick menu to alter that, and we can add a new page here, or we can add a new page here. Next we go into the comments menu, and you can see all the comments that have been made onto our blog posts. And you can see that there's different categories. You can have all of the comments, the pending ones, so these are the ones that are waiting for approval, the ones that have been approved, the ones that have been automatically put into spam, and those that you have trashed. So this is what I was saying before, when you can choose to moderate your comments to see whether you want them to show up on your site or whether they're just somebody writing rubbish about one of your posts and you just want to get rid of them. And in the same way with the posts and pages, by hovering your pointer below the comment, another menu appears so you can choose what to do with that comment, whether you want to approve it, unapprove it, reply, edit it, put it in the spam or trash. Next on the menu we have the appearance. So we click on appearance. The first option that comes up is the theme, and our current theme is 2012, which comes as standard when you install WordPress. And you have the option to customize it. And below that, lower down the page, we also have any other available themes that are installed. So what you can do is, if there's several you want to choose between, you can install them all and then flip between them by reactivating them. You can only have one theme activated at a time. So if you wanted to swap to the 2011 rather than the 2012, by clicking on activate here, it will make it the theme you're currently using. If you want to install themes, you click on the next tab here, and it will give you the option to search one or to upload one, or to look at the ones that are featured or the newest ones like that. We will look at themes in more detail in a later lecture. Next we'll go to widgets. Now widgets, if you remember me talking earlier, are the extra bits of functionality that can appear onto your site. So as you can see here, there's some different widgets that are being used in the sidebar of your site. So we have a search, we have recent posts, recent comments, archives, etc. And they can easily be removed by just dragging and then dropping them out. So say for example we wanted to remove the archives widget, we would just drag it across and drop it back onto the other side. So when we view our website now, you'll notice that the archives category has disappeared. And in the same way, if you want to add a different widget, say for example you wanted to add a calendar, you just grab it and you click it and pull it across to the sidebar. And these can also be reordered. So if you don't want your calendar at the top, you can drag it and put it further down the page. So if I just quickly show you the site now, you'll see how that looks. So if we scroll down, we now have a calendar widget showing, and the archive one has disappeared. Let's go back to widgets. You can get more widgets by basically installing plugins or by using some of the features that might be provided with your theme. So you're not limited to just the ones that you see here. There's all sorts of different widgets you can have. But we'll explore widgets in more detail in a later lecture. Next we have menus. Now this is where you can create custom menus. So say for example you have 5 pages that you want to appear on a menu, and all your other pages you want to appear somewhere else, perhaps on another menu. So what you can do is you can just put a custom menu. So rather than just the standard one where every page appears, you can basically create one which may only have 5 pages linked to it. So that's what we use with custom menus. But we will look at that again in more detail. So we've just clicked onto header. Now here, this is what it lets you choose the header image for your website. So what you can do is you can choose an image from your computer or one from your media library. So like I was saying before, you can upload images to your media library and you can choose one of those to appear in place of just the plain text which I have at the moment. And it also lets you change the colours. But if you install a theme which is more customizable, which we're going to do in a later video, you'll see you'll probably be given a lot more options depending on the theme you choose. It's also worth noting that they make a suggestion on the size for the image you should use. Next, on the background, you can see that you can choose a background colour by changing it here, and you can also have a background image which can be uploaded from your computer, or you can choose it from your media library. Next we just go into plugins. Now plugins add functionality to your website. Like I was saying before, they can give you extra widget options that you can use. Now it's always worth picking your theme before you start installing plugins, because you may well find that the theme you choose gives you those bits of functionality without having to install extra plugins. Here you can see a list of the plugins that I have installed, and at the moment most of them are not activated, which is why they're greyed out. So all I'd need to do is click on activate to reactivate them there. Or for example, if I didn't want this one here, I could deactivate it. You can add new plugins in the same way as you add a theme. So you can click add new here or add new there. And when you add new, you have a choice to upload them from your computer or to search for them. Next down we have users. So say for example you wanted more than one person to be able to access your website and perform certain functions. You can give them a different hierarchy as well. So say for example you can have an administrator, an editor, an author, a contributor or a subscriber. And if you want to know more information about what their sort of privileges are, you can look on the wordpress.org website and it will tell you exactly what they're allowed to change and what they're not allowed to change. You then have the tools section here. So there's different available tools, but also you have an import and an export option. So if you want to import a theme perhaps that you've made, so if you like the idea of designing a theme, you could have a look at Artistia, which is a nice piece of software which lets you design your own themes. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the notes section, so if you're interested in exploring that in more detail, you can go and have a look at that. And you can also export information too. You then have your settings menu. So we've gone straight into the general option, and this lets you change your site title, the tagline, which you saw earlier, the WordPress and website addresses or URLs, my username for admin purposes. You can also alter the date and the time as it's displayed, for example, on your blog posts. When you make any changes to any of these pages, it's always important to note you make sure that you hit the Save Changes button, because you could change them on the page, but if you don't hit Save Changes, the changes will not be updated. Next, we'll just have a quick look through the other settings. So these are the writing settings here. There shouldn't really be anything we need to change, but it's something you might want to go and explore at a later date. My philosophy with WordPress is, if I want to change something, then I go and find out how to do it. I don't change things for change's sake. Once I want to change something, I go and find out how I do it. And also, a friend of mine gave me a very good piece of advice. They said, if you change anything within your WordPress, make sure you write down what you've changed, because if you suddenly find that you've done something you didn't realise that you'd done, at least you can go back and you can undo it. But if you change many things all in one go, you might think, now which setting was it that changed that? So there's other options here. So there's reading. You can change what the front page displays, whether it's your latest posts. So if you want a blog, you will want all your blog posts on the front page, for example. But if you're creating a website made up of pages and you don't want to have blog posts, you can choose then to have a static page. So this page will always appear on your home page. And you can also select which one it is, once you've created some pages, that is. Here you can also alter how many posts you will show in one go, and whether you use full text or summary. So basically it means if you want a blog post, does the whole post show on the page or just an excerpt? Next we can look at the discussion settings, and here this basically lets us manipulate things to do with our blog comments. I tend to leave them in their default settings unless I feel that something needs changing. So for example here, email me whenever anyone posts a comment. I may not want my inbox filled up with information about comments or being reminded I have to moderate comments, because it drives me a little bit crazy. But if you haven't got many comments on your blog, that may not be a problem. If it becomes a problem, you can come here and change the settings, and also whether a comment is held for moderation or not. And you can scroll down this page and there are more things to consider. Just remember to save changes with anything that you alter on the page. Next we look at media. And this is just basically to do with the thumbnail sizes. So the thumbnail is basically the small picture you see on your blog post. So you can change the size of that and what size you want to set your medium and large files as being, and also how your uploads are categorized. Permalinks. Now we're going to look at these in more detail in another lecture, but basically it's the way that your permanent URLs appear for your website. So rather than having some random URL link, privatetutoring.me/p123, you want to have it set so it's the post name. So you can just change the structures in here. So that's the run-up of the menu that we're going to be using. You might be wondering why there's a couple of things I skipped over. Now there is a plugin here, and that's a menu to configure that, but because it's a new plugin that was installed automatically when I installed WordPress, I haven't had a chance to go and explore it yet, so I'm not going to talk you through it at this stage. Right, at the end of this lecture you should have a brief overview of how the WordPress administration screen works. I'm Jennifer Bailey, thank you for listening.